Chip Kellys, the crap Kellys, the Philadelphia Eagles. My Atlanta, 35-28. They were up 14-0 in that game when I first turned it on and started watching. Somehow ended up losing 35-28 to the Eagles. Panthers stay undefeated, barely beating New Orleans in New Orleans 41-38. And that's another coach that could be on the hot seat. Maybe not. It depends, I think, on what his relationship really is with management, front office, ownership, GM, that stuff. But Sean Payton could be looking for a new job at the end of this season as the Saints lose yet again. Then in the Sunday night game, we had the Steelers crush the luckless, pun intended, Indianapolis Colts 45-10. Yikes. And then in the Monday night game, we had an upset Dallas Cowboys win on the road. First win of the year with someone other than Tony Romo starting at quarterback in Washington over the was and still kind of sort of is first place Washington Redskins by a score of 19-16. All right, so let's move right along and get to our pick'ems for this week's games. Now, as I remind you, these are all for entertainment purposes. Any wagers that you may or may not make on the basis of my opinion is strictly at your own risk. However, if you do win it big, don't be afraid to throw just a little bit of thank you my way. All right, so in the Thursday night game, which is probably tonight as you're listening, tomorrow night as I'm recording, we've got mine, possibly, hopefully not, your Minnesota Vikings on the road at Arizona. Arizona is a 7.5-point favorite. I don't see any way. I just don't see this. I can see a way, but it's a 1 in a million. So you're telling me there's a chance. Vikings should, and I'm saying will, lose this game and lose it big. I'm picking Arizona to both win the game and cover the 7.5-point spread that they are as favorites. Next, we've got the Atlanta Falcons on the road for the first time this year, and they'll be playing them twice yet. These two play each other with 1 week in between. But the Atlanta Falcons are on the road at the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers still undefeated, 12-0. They are 7.5-point favorites. I am picking the Carolina Panthers to stay perfect and win this game. However, I am picking the Atlanta Falcons to cover that 7.5-point spread the same way that the New Orleans Saints, made it a close game with them last week. Then we've got the Buffalo Bills at the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh boy, that should be good with LaShawn McCoy and Chip Kelly, Kiko Alonso, the whole trade and stuff. And man, that should be good. Vegas has this as a pick'em. Eagles half-point favorite. I am picking the Buffalo Bills to win that game. Just period. Not even thinking about it. Bills win that game. They have better quarterback play. They have better defense. They have better coaching. And I don't know. I guess the only thing that would hold them back is if the Eagles are healthy and the Bills aren't. But knowing who Chip Kelly likes to have on his team, the Eagles are never going to be healthy as long as they're a Chip Kelly team. At least not this far into the season. So yeah, Bills. That's a pretty easy one. Pretty confident on that Bills pick there. Then we've got the Bears at home, a 3.5-point favorite against the Redskins. This Redskins is a tough up and down team to figure out. Some weeks they look good, some weeks they look bad. And the Bears are kind of the same thing. I'm picking the Redskins to win this game, let alone cover that 3.5-point spread. If the Bears win this game, I do not expect them to cover the 3.5-point spread. It'll likely be by a field goal or less. Feel pretty safe on that one as well. Then we've got, this one's kind of interesting. We've got 1 versus 2 in the AFC North. Bengals, 3.5-point favorite, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers with a healthy Ben Roethlisberger now, I believe, still. That's a very winnable game for the Steelers. Would be a nice statement for the Bengals. Might clinch them the division. Definitely helps them stay in that number 1 seed playoff picture, which I think is huge for them with their history, both as a franchise and the players that are on that squad. So big game for the Bengals. Let's pick the Bengals to win, but by less than 3.5 points. So we're picking the Steelers against the spread there. Then we've got the 49ers at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are a 1.5 point favorite. Are you kidding me? Have you been watching either of these teams for the past 2 to 4 weeks? The 49ers should be like a 3.5 point favorite to win this game, and they're a 1.5 point underdog. So Niners all the way, winning game, covering spread, easy Niners. Then we've got the Detroit Lions, who have been fairly hot as of late. Lost a crushing heartbreaker on Thursday night, but have had extra time to prepare for this coming Sunday's game then against the very slumping, struggling St. Louis Rams. This is a pick'em, it says. Rams half-point favorite. I think this, again, should be Detroit Lions should be favored by about 3.5 points. So Lions, easy pick there. Then we've got the Tennessee Titans, a 7.5 point underdog against the New York Jets. That game's in New York. Titans aren't very good. Jets have been pretty good. But both of these teams have shown flashes both ways, where the Titans can be really good, and the Jets can be not as good. So I'll definitely take the Jets to win that game fairly confidently, but I like the Titans to keep it, to a touchdown victory. So I'll take the Titans against that 7.5 point spread. Then we got the Indianapolis Colts on the road at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars are a 1.5 point favorite. That's a little surprising to me. That to me is more of a pick'em or a Colts 1.5 point favorite game. That being said, I don't know. Outside of last week, the Colts just have this amazing resilience with or without Andrew Luck. Now, I don't think Andrew Luck is back yet. Keep an eye on that if he is. They've actually been better without him this year, but I think that's probably been because he wasn't healthy most of that time. So if he is healthy actually when he comes back, look for that to be a different story, or no excuses then at that point. But oh boy, that's a tough one. I don't know where to go with that one. I don't know. I don't trust the Jaguars yet, even though I like the Jaguars right now. So let's go Colts. At least to cover the spread. Coin flip on who you think's going to win that one. Then we've got the super hot Kansas City Chiefs hosting the San Diego Chargers. Chiefs are a 9.5 point favorite. Man, anytime spread's that big, I like to take the underdog, so that's what I'm doing. However, confidently picking the Chiefs to continue their hot streak and win that game, improving to 8-5 and looking like they're going to be a playoff team like I predicted they would be now. Yeah. Then we've got the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a 3.5 point favorite. Boy, Saints let's go Bucs to cover that spread and win the game. Definitely like them to win the game. Just not sure about the spread. Seattle Seahawks, an 8.5 point favorite on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. And I think they're going to crush and embarrass Matt Schaub and everything that is the terrible Baltimore Ravens offense at the moment. Super injured, and they've got Mark Trestman as the coordinator, so that's as bad as it gets. Hopefully head coach John Harbaugh doesn't end up on the hot seat as a result of injury and that bad hiring as well. Then we've got, picking Seahawks both over that 8.5 point giant spread, is obviously winning the game. Oakland Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos a 7.5 point favorite. I definitely pick Broncos to win that game. I think the Raiders will keep it to within a touchdown though, so picking Raiders against the spread. Cowboys at the Green Bay Packers. Packers are a 7.5 point favorite. I think the Packers are going to use this game to get things clicking. Personally, it just feels like it's that time for the Packers. The Cowboys look like that type of opponent. It's in Lambeau. I'm picking the Packers to cover that spread, and this is, end of the season, playoff time. They're going to be looking at this game as this is when the Packers offense started to look good, and the problems that they've been having started to go away or get fixed. That's my prediction, as much as I hate it to be my prediction, because I hate the Packers. I love the Vikings. But, it is what it is. Then in what is scheduled to be the Sunday night game, we've got the New England Patriots at the Houston Texans. Patriots are a 3.5-point favorite. They're injured all across the board. Gronkowski, Edelman, the running backs, the offensive line, the defense. I mean, everybody other than Tom Brady pretty much is injured for the New England Patriots, hence their 2 losses in a row. Texans, however, have been playing great as of late. The defense especially been getting after it, and DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver offense, has been a beast all year. And very quietly, all the quarterbacks for the Houston Texans that have played this year, with the exception of Ryan Mallett, have actually put up extremely good numbers, primarily in the touchdown to interception ratio. So, believe it or not, I am picking the inconceivable to happen, and I am picking the New England Patriots to lose their 3rd straight game in a row at the hands of the Houston Texans in Houston. So, needless to say, picking Houston to win the game, and they're 3.5-point underdog, so that tells you what I'm picking on the spread. And finally, in a peculiar Monday night matchup, we've got 2 5-win teams going at it. We've got the New York Giants on the road at the Miami Dolphins game, and it is a pick'em. 0.5-point favorite are the Giants. Oh, jeez Louise. I don't know. Let's go with the home team in a pick'em, right? Home team. If one team's not hot, go with the home team. Neither team's hot, so we'll go with the home team. And for the record, I'm picking 34-31 Dolphins, final score on that game. All right, so there's all my picks. That's everything NFL. Wow, it only took us just under an hour and a half. So much for the show being short and quick. But man, it's football season. We got a lot to go over. All right, you know what? Changing it up here. Instead of keeping the spew rolling, going to college football, let's break up the football monotony here a little bit and get in some other sports. Let's go to NBA basketball, where, as I mentioned earlier earlier in the show, that tonight, as I'm recording it Wednesday night, most likely last night as you're listening, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the Kobe Bryant farewell tour, as the Los Angeles Lakers were in town for, I believe, their only stop this season. And it was an extremely entertaining, one heck of a game. It ended up being an overtime thriller where the T-Wolves are victorious, 123-122. So rare occasions for both teams. You got a game that the Lakers actually have a chance to win here on the Kobe Bryant farewell tour. That's pretty rare. But then also for the T-Wolves side, you've got, a big-name guy, superstar on a big-name team coming into town. Even though they're not any good, they're still a big-name franchise. And you have the chance to win the game, So unique situation for both teams tonight. Ultimately, T-Wolves come out victorious by 1. Way to go, T-Wolves. So that would put the Minnesota Timberwolves at 9-12 in 9th place. The 9th ranked team out of 15. 8 make the playoffs in the Western Conference. We won't go specific into T-Wolves here, as, like I said, we got to keep everything short. But I will let you know what their next couple games are. Their next game is Friday night on the road in Denver, where they play the Nuggets at 8 p.m. Definitely a winnable game there. Also, then again on Sunday at 2:30 p.m., a nice afternoon game. Since we don't have Vikings to watch, it'd be great if that Timberwolves game was actually televised, like I don't know, on Fox Sports it usually is, or FSN, something like that. But we got the T-Wolves in Phoenix against the Suns on Sunday, and then again on Tuesday back at home against the Nuggets. So we'll be playing the Nuggets 2 out of 3 games. Those are 3 winnable games. And then they'll also be playing the second of a back-to-back. Odd that they're on the road Friday, on the road Sunday, come home for a Tuesday game. That's out west. Come home road for a Tuesday game. And then you just keep flying east across the country for a back-to-back game on the road, where you're out in New York against the Knicks. The Knicks are actually decent this year. They're not overly good or great, but they don't stink like they have stunk. So that'll be tough being the second, being